That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. Game week. It doesn't feel like it. It's weird. Here we are, game week. We got a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. Thanks for being here. Again, weird week. Weird week. This in-between week in America should probably just be everybody's off work unless you need it. It's weird. This in-between period, it's awkward. We're just purely in between is how I feel. In between in a lot of ways. Not just in between the last game and this game. In between in a lot of ways. So that's on my mind. There's just a lot going on. So a couple things today that I want to go over and make sure that I hit with you guys. One of them is I'm going to go over this Sam Hartman news, maybe news. It's news that he's in the portal. We're going to go over that and what I think this means. There's a couple really, really huge points with Sam Hartman that not a lot of people are hitting, and they're the most intriguing parts of the whole thing to me. So we need to go over that dynamic since it's a big deal. So I want to go over that, and then some of this bowl game. I started getting into the prep, looking up some of the numbers, strengths and weaknesses. There's some of that I want to go over as well. So we will do the introduction, roll call, and then anybody phone calls after I get through my Sam Hartman. I don't know, you guys, this fan base. I love us, but us drives me freaking crazy every single day. Like, I'm including me in us, this collaborative, collective us. But we drive me absolutely crazy in a lot of ways. So YouTube, you're obviously there already. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. I appreciate that. That helps me as well. Notifications on, and you know why. That way you'll be alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish, or at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishindy@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want me. You can locate me. Call in line 312-988-15. Give me a call about what you heard and seen. Fighting Irish Wire. Tune in every day. I got an episode. An article I think went up yesterday, or it's about to, and another one locked and ready to go. Ready to go. It's healthy for me sometimes to call time out from this and go right. It's a totally different mind stimulation, but still in Notre Dame football land. So that is good. So let's get into the roll call here, and then I'll get into Sam Hartman. We'll do some phone calls. You guys take it where you want to take it. Okay, Paul Conley, good to see you. Paul's the first one here every time. Good to see you. Matt Miller, good to see you as well. Ghost UFO stream, when's it going to be? This came up on Twitter. I got something planned for that I'm putting together. It might take a little bit, but I have something fun planned for that kind of content. Stay tuned. I'm not crazy. UFOs, seen them. Ghost girl walking through a field, seen it. I'm not crazy. Or I am crazy, but just not for that reason. I'm crazy in a lot of areas of my life. Me minding my own business, seeing UFOs and a ghost girl. I wasn't looking for that. Like, I was just trying to mind my own business. I'm not out here hunting for these things. Deb Thomas, good to see you. Nick Dean, look at this. Nick Dean, good morning, John and all. Starting to get excited about the bowl game and need to see the young guys play. Here's my thought, Nick. I think there's adequate room for Notre Dame to be able to thread the needle, give some young guys a chance to get more action in this game, and not have that mean you're folding the game and you hand it over to South Carolina. Maybe I don't understand how football goes enough to think that, but I truly do. I think you could get those young linebackers more time without risking the whole game. I do, and I think you might be pleasantly surprised with some of the action that you see. But I go back to what I said again. I know coaches don't think this way, but I do. When you lost 4 games, no snaps are guaranteed in the bowl game. You lost 4 games. Why should anybody's snaps be protected? I just keep going back to that, and I get that that's not how coaches look at it, but that's how I do. Jeez, like, I mean, give me a break. We're not acting like this is a playoff game where everything's on the line every play. I'm not acting like that. You got to win the game, but I have other priorities as well. And ending this year and forgetting about it, moving to next year's number one. Like, I'm not looking at this bowl game as wrapping up this year with 4 losses. Who cares? It was in a body bag week 2. This isn't about this year. This is about what I'm going to see next year when the ledger has 0 losses, not 4. And not 2 when it's still 98 degrees outside. I love Notre Dame. You guys noticed yet? Matt Miller, good to see you here. Mark Holzem, good to see you as well. Dr. John says, good morning, lads and lassies. Oops, not those dogs. Lassie was a good show. You know what? You know how much better America would be if kids still watch Lassie? Not all this salacious stuff that's on TV. Just a good old dog that's going to pull somebody out of a well once in a while would do this country good if we could go back to some of that entertainment. Lassie rules, okay? I love Lassie. That collie could do anything I need. I appreciate it. Could probably cook you a steak dinner. That collie could do it all. Black and white and in color. That's how old I am. Oh, Mikey Pulls. Good morning. Last game of the season. The season flew by. It always does. It's wild. You are sitting there like all summer, all spring. Let's get to the season. I need football. You get to football, and it feels like 1 week, and it's been 3 months. It's wild. The Sunset Kid. Good morning, everyone, from sunny Southwest Indiana along the Wabash River. That sounds peaceful, my friend. Sounds peaceful. Connor, what's going on? What's up? Beat South Carolina. That's right. Connor going to be at the game. I believe that's you. You're going to be at the game. You got to give us a report. Angela Rudiger, I always say it. It's good to have a Rudiger in the chat. Jaded Clay, good to see you, Jaded. Mikey Poles, if we land Sam Hartman, it's playoffs or bust. Oh, you're starting to hit on one of my topics. Not quite that to that extent, but you're starting to hit on one of my main themes today. Good job. You're on it. You are on it. Pat, good to see you here, stirring it up in the morning. Go for it. Mark, Mark says, should I take Friday off? That's the other thing. What time's this game? 2:30, something like that. People that you got to work, you're not going to be stuck in some cubicle during the Notre Dame game. That's anti-American. None of these people, you guys aren't doing that, are you? Stuck there. You got to get a half day. You got to be able to pull something. Or if you work from home, have your computer up so they see looks like you're doing stuff, but you're worried about the game. You got to figure it out. You got to figure that out. There you go. Work from home has some perks. I don't know about your productivity level, but, we'll see. Oh, Matt Miller, always good to see you here. Yeah, where are you, Kent? I haven't seen you. What, is Kent getting stressed out about the Ohio State bowl game or what? He's been to every one of these call-ins ever since mid-August. We'll see if he shows up. Keep the streak going. Nick Dean, good to see you. B. Bean, good to see you. Nick Dean and B. Bean back-to-back. They try and say that 5 times. If it's Hartman, Paul Conley. If it's Hartman, then he will be the ND starter next year. I cannot see a scenario. I genuinely cannot see a scenario where if you are starting the year with a quarterback competition between Sam Hartman's body of work and Tyler Buckner's no body of work or tiny, minuscule body of work, I find it really, really hard. I find it hard to see Buckner winning that job. Like I do. How could it? I don't see a scenario where straight up head-to-head, Buckner's beating out Sam Hartman's body of work in a competition in August camp. I don't see that. I just don't see it. Oh, B. Bean, what's the New Year's resolution? You know what? I'm going to relax more. How about that? I'm going to relax more and try not to get as stressed out. We'll see how long that lasts. I don't know. Well, at least the bowl game's before the new year, so I don't have to apply that relaxation to that. So that'll be good. I'll believe it when I see it with Sam. That's on my list of things too to talk about, by the way. It truly is. Oh, let's see. Cheers for Barbados. Somebody on vacation. Jay, good for you, man. Good guy. You deserve a little trip. Good for you. Nice guy, by the way. Got to get Sam. A lot of people talk about it. Yeah, Nick Dean, don't you have to be crazy to be an ND fan? Yeah, but I think I'm crazy in other ways. Jacob Brown, what's up? Taj Murphy, good to see you again, Taj. It's been a while. Jacob Brown, good to see you. Roy Boy, what's going on? Oh, always Irish Children of the Corn edition. I'm here for it. I'm telling you, I've seen some weird stuff. Patrick Cotter was actually on the grounds for one of them at a golf course. Ghost girl walking through a bean field. Nothing else around. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. No, John, you're not crazy. Oh, come on. Come on. I am. I just don't know all the reasons. Oh, boy. Let's see. Yeah, the bowl game. Listen, here's the other thing we got to cover right away. And this goes for Notre Dame and South Carolina both. Nobody wants to hear anybody complain about all their good players that are opting out or going to the portal. Every single team other than the top ones in the playoff probably have a boatload of guys that are sitting out, opting out, whatever, and it's going to affect their game plan for their bowl game. No one wants to hear anybody cry about it. And it's Foskey. That's our playmaker on D. Oh, it's Michael Mayer. The first, second, third, fourth, and the outlet bailout option on every pass play. What are we going to do? No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. You've had plenty of time to figure out what you were going to do, knowing you weren't going to have Mayer on off. Like, I'm just saying, nobody's going to want to hear Notre Dame people cry about that. Everybody's got their own guys out. Everybody does. Okay? But it is funny how reliable that passing game was going through Mayer. So you're going to have to figure something out. You're going to have to figure something out. It was in a body bag week 2. Seriously, John? Yeah, you had 2 losses. All your national goals were dead week 2. Yes, 100%. Yes, absolutely, B-Bean, 100%. 100%. When you have 2 losses the second week of September, all of your national goals are pretty much dead. So, yes, nobody better question Lassie. Flipper, that's a good one, too. That's a good one, too. You could just do a little less life-saving with Flipper because they always had to be in the water. Lassie could do a little everything. Keep it on the move. So I respect Flipper and the work that he put in. I do. But he's limited in his life-saving abilities because he's linked to water in a way Lassie's just not. I also have a lot of respect for Rin Tin Tin K9 Cop. I mean, you want to talk about a do-it-all. I mean, Rin Tin Tin saving the day, okay? I like it. I'm down with that. Old school. Old school. Look at this, Jacob Brown. Looking like I have an extra ticket if anybody's going to be in Jacksonville want to go. That's a fantastic offer. Anybody hook it up? Hook it up. Ooh, Matthew Carter. You guys are smart because this chat is hitting. I want to get caught up with the chat, get into my notes. You guys are hitting on a lot of my stuff. You're hitting on a lot of it. Matthew Carter, I'll get to that. That's a good question. Buckner to transfer if Hartman comes in. Telling you, it's a good question. 76 degrees in Jacksonville. Ooh, that sounds nice. 24-38 Irish win, Mark says. I don't know. I think I got to do my USA prediction and article today. I don't know what to pick. Nobody has any idea what they're going to get out of Notre Dame. Even when you had a full team, you knew you were going to have Foskey, you knew you were going to have Mayer, and you had whatever rhythm and communication was going on with Pine and the offensive skill guys. Even if you had all that in place, I would say I have no idea what we're going to get out of this team because you had no idea what you're going to get out of them every single game all year. And now we have all these new moving pieces, even more. I have no idea. No one has any idea what we're going to see. Good, bad, in the middle. I have no idea. And it's very awkward for me to enter a game like this and not have any feel. I have no feel. Nobody can have any feel. Who can tell me they have a good feel about Notre Dame's going to play? I don't know how anybody could. It's the ultimate wait and see. Wait and see. Yeah, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30. Okay. Sunset Kids got Friday off. Taj doesn't have to go back till January. Greg, good to see you, Greg. Greg's been busy. Hit or miss a little bit. Greg, it's good to see you whenever you could join. I appreciate it. I really do. Here we go. Joshua Finn, is ND finally getting into some good old tampering like everybody else with Hartman? You know, it's really funny, Joshua. You guys are hitting on a lot of my main points. Greg, good to see you, man. It's always good to see your smiling face here. Joshua Finn, the tampering. A lot of people are saying, listen, how are you going to define tampering? You know, a lot of times you have an extension of a camp reaching out, whether it's from the player end to schools or schools out, but it's like the mob. It's 5 times removed from the head coach. Like, you're not catching Tony Accardo when he's running the Chicago outfit on a call telling his guys what to do. No, Tony Accardo's 4 steps removed with in-betweens, relaying the messages so nothing comes back to the big guy. So you know this stuff's going on. How you want to actually define it is up to you. But you know that's going on back and forth. And then you're going to say, if a 4th extension of our camp reached out to a 4th extension of their camp, is that tampering? That's what you have going on. The other thing that's super interesting to me with the tampering debate is everybody on Twitter is they are clutching their Irish pearls. Whenever somebody else gets a guy, this is tampering. It's bad for the game. It needs to stop. And when your team gets a guy, it turns into that's just a good old fashioned job of the staff staying on that portal and making sure they know what's going on. Like, that's just how fanhood is. When somebody else is doing it, it's definitely dirty. And when you did it, it's definitely just good old hard work. Now, the part that's interesting with Hartman is, I was talking about this before he was in the portal and before he played in their bowl game. And so when you want to ask tampering, John, you were talking about this on your show before the guy was even in the portal. I don't know. I just know what my people are telling me that are tied into stuff. And I told you the other day, you get a whole bunch of messages all at once from this people you rely on, all saying this is a thing. But it was before he was in the portal. I don't know what to tell you. Somebody reached out, and then somebody said, we're interested. I don't know. But it is a funny game. When your team gets a guy, it's good old-fashioned recruiting and hard work and communication. Your rival gets a guy, it's definitely dirty. I've seen that on Twitter for weeks. That's how it goes. Oh, man. Yeah, Jaded. Good call. Relax more, he says. Then I announce a continuation of Always Annoyed. Along with the UFO and all that stuff, Always Annoyed's coming back too. So I just know I have bigger plans than just the football Always Irish. I got stuff coming up for Always Annoyed. I got the UFO stuff, and I have some other fun stuff too. You got to realize we're entering the off season, and I do YouTube. So I have to find other outlets. There's going to be stuff coming. And other angles. So you're gonna have some stuff. Oh, Ghost Girl equals some hippie chick on mushrooms. No. Trust me. I'm not doing this here, but we'll get into it. Oh man, Nick, that's a good idea. Roy Boy opting out equals quitting. Can't blame them. Jalen Smith, Jake Butt. It's tough. It's like, I get the perspective that you could call it quitting on your team, right? If you're there on a scholarship, you're with your guys and you don't play in the bowl game. I get that. And I also understand if somebody was going to say, what is the main point of college? The overall main point of college, whether you're an athlete or not, what's the main point of college? To set yourself up in a position to have the best possible, career life as you can for your family. if these guys are looking at that and saying the Jalen Smith example and going playing in this game that isn't going to move the needle, even if we win it 100-0, isn't in that risk calculus, I understand it. I don't love it, but I totally understand it. Ride it out with your teams the whole way. I get that. And I also get the practicality of I'm not blowing an ACL right before the draft to prevent us from having 5 losses instead of 4. I get that too. I really do. Turner and Hooch, that's a good one. Oh, Mr. Ed. Air Bud's too cheesy. Get out. I can't do Air Bud. Just a little too cheesy. And then they have like Air Soccer Bud. And they had like all these other Air Buds a little too cheesy to me. Mr. Ed's legit. When you talk about animals that they do stuff, and Mr. Ed talked. So Mr. Ed rules. Mr. Ed was surfboarding, skateboarding. He was hitting BP with the Yankees. Does anybody remember that? They put the bat in Mr. Ed's mouth and he swings it, taking BP with like Lou Gehrig in black and white, and they put that bat in that horse's mouth. He swings it, hits one to the wall, and rounds the bases, and then slides hoof up into home plate. Mr. Ed's the best. I love Mr. Ed. Okay. Oh, look at this. Matt Miller's getting ahead of himself. Guys, say it with me. Hartman to Merriweather for an Irish TD. Going to hear a lot of that next year. I mean, that would be the hope. Air Bud was on steroids. I don't know about Air Bud, man. It's a little too cheesy of a concept for me, but I don't know. Maybe I was just too old for kid movies when Air Bud came out. I don't know. You know. So Pat says, exactly, John, tampering, yes, but it was a player who halfway through the year said he wasn't going to return to Wake. Like, this is all semantics. And like, how are you going to nail somebody on tampering? Do you really think Marcus Freeman was sitting there emailing the guy, begging him to leave Wake, leaving a wake of evidence? I don't think so. And the other thing with the tampering, when they're fine when they do it, but they're not when another team does it. I say this all the time with Notre Dame, and this has to do with discipline issues too. Back when Kelly had a run of guys that weren't RKGs, that had their guns and everything, and were getting in trouble. And it's like, how come it's all a bigger deal when it happens to Notre Dame? When you're the ones that want to be the moral Catholic place and you say you're trying to do it the right way, when anything goes off that path, you're taking more heat. That's just the way it is. You don't get to claim this moral thing that we as Notre Dame people do. And then when it falls short, you're held to the same standard. That's never how it's going to be. Notre Dame's a target for this stuff. A target. That's the other thing. Grad transfer. How do you tamper on a grad transfer? That's a very fair point. And I've seen people talk about that. But I guess, I don't know. People aren't going to like it when it's Notre Dame, but that is a good point. If it's a grad thing, does the tampering still apply the same? I don't know. Wow, John with the big tuna reference. I love Tony Accardo, man. Starting out as a driver for Al Capone, moving his way up. I love that history with all that Chicago outfit mob stuff. Tony Accardo is a legitimate original gangster. He was Al Capone's driver when he was doing all of his stuff. Like, and then he was in charge, bringing in that modern era of the mob in Chicago with that string, that connecting line directly to Capone. It's a hell of a story. Oh, man. Let's see. What else do we got? Marcus Freeman making big business decisions now. Well, it's about time. Maybe he tried to be all nice and everything, and now it's cutthroat. Maybe he did it that way one year. I don't know. Yeah, there we go, Patrick. The longest ever Mafia, Don. 1938 till 1992. Yep, 56 took a backseat. What did they do then, Pat? Giancana? Is that when Giancana came in and Accardo kind of stepped back? All right, here's what I want to do. Oh, Jacob, we're going to do that. Trust me, I got a new angle on this. The revisit the drive-through always annoyed. I got new angles on that. I got new things I need to go at for that. Sorry. We're going to get it. Beethoven greater than Airbud. Oh, man. Homeward Bound is a good dog movie. That's a very good point, Mark. I don't know how we got down on this, but that's definitely it. That's hilarious. Dr. John, I don't think the word tampering is even in the college football lexicon anymore. Here's the other thing, Dr. John. Here's the other thing. If you're going to go down the tampering road, and a lot of these coaches have with like their, people are going after our guys, and I don't appreciate people going behind the scenes trying to entice our guys to leave, and people are cutting corners. You're seeing a lot of that come out in social media and these coaches in interviews. Here's what I'm saying, though. I'm now getting to the point where if you're going to cry tampering and cry foul, you got to start naming names and give evidence. That's where I'm at with this. If you're going to do this and make it a big deal and you're so sure that this hardcore tampering is going on, I want names that show the evidence. Show the text log, show the phone call, do something. I'm getting sick of just hearing these coaches say, tampering, stay away from my guys. Start calling people out then. Give a name of a head coach who's directing this tampering. Say how the tampering's happening. Track the money and figure out how the NIL is being manipulated. So I'm getting to that point where nobody wants to hear everybody cry foul. But then when it gets down to the brass balls of it, these coaches default to defending their own. That's what they end up doing. They only go up to a line of saying this stuff's going on, but they're not going far enough to call anybody out. So if it's that big of a deal and you're that certain that it's all being done wrong, provide the evidence and call out the names. Or it looks like sour grapes. You lost a guy and you're upset about it, right? Like that's kind of how I'm seeing this. So I don't know. Yeah, Roy boy, great 23 Irish class. What if our best hadn't been poached? Well, if our best couple hadn't been poached, you're looking at a legitimate one or two, not one, probably a 2 or 3. That's what you're looking at there. You're looking at a legitimate 2, 3, 4 class. That's what you're looking at. So don't make me Joey Batters. Look at that. We got some mob guys in here. I like that. Joey Batters, baby. The big tuna. Oh, man. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I thought it was Giancana. And then Giancana was too flashy for the mob. That's what his problem was. And he loved the same women as the presidents and Sinatra and everybody else. That was the problem with Giancana. Started swimming in those circles. Oh, man. When do they start to give band members a piece of this action, and when does it go to other sports? Thomas, this starts going to the band members the second one of them scores a touchdown, is my answer. I'm sorry. I thought this was for athletes. The band members are on a scholarship for band, right? Thomas, the band members have a scholarship to be in Notre Dame to practice music, study music. That has nothing to do with this. I'm not giving a trombone player $1 that could go to a player making plays on the field. It ain't ever happening. No. But I always was understood that those band members are on a music scholarship to study and teach music or something. So it shouldn't have to. It's not the same. Nobody's going to a car dealership to see the band and get their autograph. That's not what this is about. Old Yeller can't do it. Too sad. I ain't watch. Come on. Marley and me, I can't do it. A Dog's Purpose, I can't do it. I know what's coming. I like dogs more than people. I'm not watching with something that makes me sad. Your best friend, you got to go shoot him out back. Something? No. Notre Dame 21-64. What's going down? What's going on? Oh, all right. We're getting caught up here. Gentle Ben, that's a good one too. That's a good one too. Okay. So here's the deal with the Hartman thing. Let me get to this, then I'm getting to the phone calls. We got a few of them. Grizzly Adams did have a beard. All right, here's the deal. With this Sam Hartman situation, let's see. Ooh, here's something juicy. What do we got? Let's see. John, most ND media is trying to church up this class as something that it isn't. It isn't a top 10 class, not a national championship closing class. We will contend for playoff berths with this group. Where is it? We are not Marshall. Let me point something out to you, because I have seen that about this class not being that good, not legitimate. The blue chip rate on this class is 83%, and that is the percentage of your class that's 4 or 5 stars, okay? And it's 83%. That's higher than anything Kelly was able to accomplish. And a lot of his classes even were in the 40s and 50s if you go back a handful of years. Getting that blue chip rate up to 83 is a big deal. Now, does this class lack that immediate impact player at the top we all wanted and needed? Well, hell yeah, it does. Yes, it does. But also, it is not debatable. The overall talent and athleticism and all that stuff's rising. 83% blue chip rate. It's higher than anything Kelly did. And yeah, blue chip rate is top 4 in the country. So you're getting there with that depth and some of that. It's just, we all wanted the cherry on the top, and so did I. I wanted it too. So I wanted it as well. But the overall point is you need that overall bottom level of talent keep rising. And then we can hopefully refine the recruiting operation to where you're not getting held hostage on NIL, whatever. Figure that kind of stuff out and go from there. All right. But I think that's what you're looking at, is that overall talent rising. But I get people are frustrated at the top end. But you can't just say it's a Kelly class, John. It's not. It looks different. It's built different. It feels different and has different goals, is the way Freeman looks at it, okay? All right, I don't want to make the callers wait forever, so let me get through my Hartman thing, and then we'll get going. So I think I need Notre Dame to wrap this up with Hartman before other people get involved, which I'm told is already happening. So take that for whatever you want. But last night when I was asking about this, there are other, if you want to say we're tampering for Hartman, people are tampering with our tampering, okay? So you better get this done. Because if you think we're tampering for Hartman, somebody's tampering with our tampering. So if you haven't learned anything from what happened last week, you better get this done. So that's number one. Now, maybe it's so far down the road of being done for months that I just don't know that. And now other teams are trying to get in. I don't know. That's number one. I am not acting like this is a done deal. There are other teams trying to get involved here. So I need Notre Dame to get this done fast. This type of guy, I don't know. So I hope it's all done. And I hope this was all way down the path that these teams trying to make communication now, it's just not an option. We're done. But I had multiple people reach out to me last night and tell me that was going on. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I have no idea. But I am saying there are other people jumping involved. It's Sam Hartman. This isn't just Joe Blow. This is a guy with some pedigree. So people are sniffing around. So I'm just going to say that, number one. And then number two, a lot of Notre Dame fans are saying that he is basically Ian Book and Drew Pine. I have seen that on Twitter, and I don't understand it. Saying that this guy is basically just Drew Pine and Ian Book. Look at the statistics. Look at the body of work. Look at what he's actually accomplished, and that is disproven right away. Pro Football Focus has him as the most valuable player, wins above replacement in the last 2 college football seasons. Anybody saying he's Pine or Book, I mean, none of these accolades apply to those guys. He's accomplished way more. So I don't understand what some of you want. Look at where we're at the quarterback position. Who are we to be that picky? Who are we to be that picky? Look at what we have. And then it's like, all right, it's basically Drew Pine, Ian Book, Hartman this year, 3,700 yards, 38 TDs. Pine, 2,000 yards, 22 TDs. Well, if Hartman was Pine, why isn't Pine Pine? Books last year, 2,800 yards, 15 TDs. Again, if he's Pine and he's Book, why aren't those guys as good as this guy? Again, PFF's most valuable player wins above replacement the last 2 years. Okay? And then listen, I get that there's a reason that people will say then, well, John, if the guy is that good, then why isn't he going to the NFL then? Why is he sticking around college that long if he's that good? Well, I don't know, but that doesn't change the fact it's better than what Notre Dame has. Like, you're asking questions that don't all apply at the same time. Like, if you want to be like, well, if he's that good, then why didn't he go to the league? Okay, and the other thing is the injury too. There was an injury involved too, which maybe pushed him back to want another year. Okay, so, but if you want to ask, well, why isn't he in the league or whatever? That is an unrelated question when it applies to what does Notre Dame have and is this guy way better? Now, here are the two most interesting things about this, then we'll get to the calls. Number one is, if this goes through and Notre Dame gets Hartman, all pressure's on Tommy Rees. All pressure's on Tommy Rees. Now he's got a guy that can pass the ball all over. Anybody that likes and defends Tommy Rees, one of the things they say is wait till he gets some decent arm talent to actually work with. Then you will really see his vision in the offense open up. Okay? All right. If you get this guy and you know we have a body of work that he can make all those throws, there's no excuses. I need big-time electric numbers from Notre Dame's offense right away next year then. That is always the biggest thing with Rees is that angle. That angle. If you just wait, he has these bad, unfortunate circumstances in the quarterback room. Wait till he gets his guy and it's all going to look different. This would be that. So I have absolutely none flexibility at that point on Tommy Rees. I need you to put up big-time points. Big-time points. Somebody says they heard a Hartman announcement after the Notre Dame bowl game. Why don't you win the bowl game and then have Hartman say he wants to play at Notre Dame? That's a heck of a way to end the year. That's a heck of a way to end the year. And I like it a lot. Okay, I like it a lot. So that's one thing that I like about this. That Tommy Rees thing, you're going to get a real clear view right away. And if it looks great and we could do more and open up the route tree and stretch the field and throw touch passes and all this stuff, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. But if the offense still doesn't flow, Tommy's got to go. Like, you're done. No, we're not. There's no more excuses. If the offense doesn't flow, Tommy's got to go. That's the rule. If you have Hartman and all these numbers, and I could see the throw he makes, and you're going to have Notre Dame's offensive line and tight end lineage there, adding in the new skill guys that are being recruited appropriately for the first time in 11 years, now you got something to work with. Okay? Let's see. Hartman, one of the toughest kids around. Doctors thought his career was over. Look what he did anyway. Yeah, that's a good comeback. And then that's also an answer I kind of forgot about the NFL part of this. About if he's that good, why is he still messing around with college? Well, maybe that gives you some of your answer. Okay? Oh, boy. Fire Tommy Rees now. Again, I'm not trying to make that this show, but it is bizarre to me that it's like 50-50. Half the fan base still believes in him, sees his vision, and just wants more talent, and the other half are just done with him. It's wild. It is wild. And then here's the second part of this. Number one I found that I liked was the pressure squarely on Tommy Rees with no excuses moving forward. That's number one that I like about this. Here's number two, though. What's going to happen with Tyler Buchner if this goes down? Follow me here. Whatever happens in the boat, call's coming up next. Hang with me. I'm sorry. Follow me here. No matter what happens in the bowl game, Buchner looks good. Buchner looks rusty, somewhere in the middle, whatever, right? Fine. If you get Hartman, I already said there is no way to me that Buckner's going to outduel Hartman in a contest in August and win that game. I don't see it happening. So then my question is this just end up where Buckner's the odd guy out and he takes his eligibility and transfers for a clean start and a clean slate? Like, I'm honestly because look at what you're going to have then. You already have Buckner's delayed development because of everything in high school, ACL, COVID. Then he comes in and you sit behind Cone, the moving Statue of Liberty. You sit behind Cone. Then it was his time this year and he has the injury. That's a rough start that put him behind. Hartman comes in, earns the job. Buckner's the backup next year. You're going to have Minchie there holding a clipboard, getting used to things. Then you have Carr coming in that next year. So then are you going to have a dynamic where you're going to have Buchner older competing against Minchie year 2, Carr year 1 for that job? I don't know, but I feel like something's got to give in that dynamic. And I wouldn't blame him. There might be something said for Buchner just feeling like, dude, I just need a restart. Maybe just change my luck if nothing else. At every single turn, something unfortunate's happened to Tyler Buchner. Like every single turn. So if he needs a clean slate and he's looking at the writing on the wall, or he feels or could see that Carr and Minchie have more natural ability, like whatever. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. And Roy, boy, I feel the same way you do. COVID and all the injuries, you just feel really bad. I just feel really bad for the guy. It's not his fault. Injuries are injuries. It's unfortunate. COVID, like just bad luck, man. Fight with the stairs, bad luck. 737, what's going on today?
John, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Just kind of enjoying this in-between period here, but between the bowl game week here and the new year. What's your mind on?
I've been looking at a bunch of stuff. You know, it's hard to get over some of the stuff we saw during signing day, but that goes away quick. And, you know, a lot of people were talking about
it's painful
Peyton
though.
Bowen.
It's painful though.
Yeah,
It hurts, man. I'm telling you, I get it. We only want guys that want to be, when you have a guy that good committed to you that long, to lose in the 11th hour for any reason, it stings. It just does. And that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he was essentially ever really serious or if he was just using it as a bargaining chip. You know, I mean, to have Notre Dame's, you know, we'll say name or as a line item, you know, and you kind of listen to and look at some of the recruiting statistics and all the stuff where it's not really based on skill, but more so the offers that you're getting in terms of, you know, your star rating and stuff like that. You know, I could see where probably, you know, like I said, having Notre Dame, but you also hear too about players, or we'll say recruits, you know, they get an offer from Notre Dame and then all the other schools start offering them. And yeah, this goes for other schools as well. So I don't know if Peyton Bowen was ever on the level to really be here, if we were just kind of a bargaining chip saying, hey, Notre Dame wants me. So, you know, we'll see what it goes.
The issue is larger scale. This is where my mind's been going since that moment. Is my mind has been directed towards how do we prevent that from happening in the future so we're not held hostage in this way every time we have elite pieces to a recruiting class, and then we're going to get backed up against the wall and our best comeback is please don't leave. That's a weak hand to play every single cycle. That's what I've been thinking about. How can Marcus Freeman insulate and protect Notre Dame from this dynamic being a problem every time we think we're in a position for a top guy? That's what I'm struggling with.
I try to think about it a little bit different and try to kind of compartmentalize it a little bit, right? So it seems to me like the where we have the most floundering, and I know this is not a recruiting or recruiting day call, so I'll be brief with it, but it seems like it's happening on the defense. You know, I mean, I think if I could have picked Keeley over Bowen, I'd certainly do that. But, you know, whether you look at, we lost Keeley, 5-star, obviously.
Yep.
Dante Moore was going to leave no matter what. You know, if you look at what he did to
see,
UCLA
but here's the thing
now.
Here's the thing, though. All right, Dante Moore was never publicly committed to Notre Dame, so I have a less standard of what is owed to Notre Dame from him because I heard things behind the scenes, but he was never technically a bona fide part of that class, so he gets off the hook way lighter because he never even committed. And then with Keeley, at least he dropped off early enough. Notre Dame could move on to some secondary options, build relationships, get back in it with their second choice. So even though that one sucked, at least he did it with a lot of time. I agree with you, though. If I had to pick Keeley or Bowen, I'm picking Keeley. You put that guy in that defensive line right away, and he causes trouble next year right away. So I'm with you there. But I think the fact that the kid was in the class for like a year, it stings, man. It just hurts. We had him all the time. It didn't matter. And then the time it mattered, we didn't have him. It's not going to not bother me, but I don't know what you do. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. No, I wish I knew the real, you know, because the story is obviously he commits to Oregon after the whole kind of hat fiasco, but then immediately he you know, there's infighting and all sorts of stuff. And this is just kind of what I've been hearing and reading. And then all of a sudden he's recanting by not sending his letter into Oregon. And then I hear, but then there's rumors that he called or had reached out to Notre Dame, and it's seeming like the players collectively were basically saying, no, we can't put you back in this class because he played everybody apparently. But, you know, I hear hey, no matter what 5-star, you know, talent, we should have that guy. And I don't know. I mean, I agree to a point, but then I also think like I have more respect for the kids who have to own saying, no, we can't put you back in this class. And they're going to have to own that because I go back to, you know, I don't know, maybe an Antonio Brown or something like that, man. Amazing talent, but he's a cancer in the locker room. You know what I mean? And eventually that comes to bite you. So, you know, it seems to me though, my take is I think where we're struggling, I think where we continue to struggle, and you see it in the recruiting class now, which is really surprising, is the defense side. You know, losing Bowen, losing Keeley. We just lost that dude Fisk to Florida State. And again, a lot of it is NIL. I get it, all those pieces. But if you look at where we're struggling the most, it's defense and then defensive line. And yeah, defensive line took a step back this year from what it did last year. So I mean, you got to start looking at our coordinators, our coaches, and saying, hey, is this the right guy for this spot? Can he recruit, and can he recruit the talent we want? Because I think we did good almost everywhere else except for that D line. So I'll leave it there for recruits and signing day. But you know, that's kind of one of the things I've been looking at for a while. And then, like I said, if I go back to it, I probably don't want Peyton Bowen in the locker room. I want him on the team. I want a skill set. Yeah, I don't know if I want him in the locker room for going through all that.
But it's just why does it always have to be that complicated when Notre Dame's involved? It's always a drama. It's always a saga. And the thing is, here's the other part, man. When do we get to be on the receiving end of this? Where on signing day, the big flip is a guy leaving somewhere else and going to Notre Dame. It just feels like we're never on that end of it for a big time guy. And it's just very frustrating. But I want to know the solutions. How do you prevent yourself from being an NIL hostage at the 11th hour every time you have a great recruit? How? I want to know.
You got to win. You got to win. Simple as that. You got to win. I guarantee you, and everybody says it didn't play a factor in it. Like it didn't make a difference with Keeley and all that stuff. Because if you kind of look at when he kind of decommitted, gave us the time and all that stuff. It's right when we lost Stanford, you know, when we were losing, you know, Marshall, all that stuff. if you're a top 5 player and somebody's throwing money at you, and then, 5-star top player, and somebody's throwing a ton of money at you, and they're winning, obviously. So Keon Keeley went to Alabama, and all this stuff. That's I think ultimately the issue is if we're winning the games that we should have won this year, I think there's probably a little bit of a different story. But winning heals all and changes everything. I think you'll continue to see the classes get better, because I agree with you in terms of the strength of the recruiting class that we just took in terms of the blue chip rate and all those pieces. Like, you could say, hey, we're a number 8 class, and I think LSU came in at number 7, which pisses me off to no end. But to say that it's not better than classes that Kelly's had in the past is a vast undertaking.
Like, it's both, man. It's both. I do not feel obligated to get pushed all the way one way or all the way the other way. Why can't the reality be that I think this class is really strong, raising the talent level, raising the athleticism level, and it's very, very solid, and it's an improvement, and we're trending up, and the blue chip rate's up, and all that's good. And I'm very frustrated with what happened at the very top end, which could have propelled this into another stratosphere. I think, why can't I just have both? Why can't I have both? It's really strong, and I'm frustrated at the very top. Both could be true, and they are.
Like I said, I think we'll get it. I think we're going to get there. Freeman his leash is going to shorten up depending on what happens over the next few weeks and months. His leash is going to short up quite a bit, as will Tommy Reese.
Oh, yeah.
So I think,
listen, I love it. I love this. If you get Hartman, that is beautiful, because it provides you a clear view of Tommy Reese. You do not have that quarterback excuse then. And so you're going to be able to see exactly where it's at. And it would just be really awesome to have that clarity.
Yeah. Like I said, I think we'll see it. I think we'll see the improvement. The other thing too, it's not all about the talent. It's about how the kids themselves gel and come together as a team. And that's what I said. I have a little more respect if it is true that Bowen had reached out to them and they all said, hey, the night before you're telling us you're good to go, and then you flop, we're good. I got a ton of respect that those kids came together and did that, but again, like I said, at that point, you got to own that, man. Like, if everybody collectively saying, hey, we're not going to take in this 5-star, which again, who knows?
But it was a bad look, man. This was very, very poorly organized, poorly communicated, very bad look. Mom was embarrassed, humiliated, upset, distraught, borderline. I understand there's kind of a deal where the parents aren't always on the same page, and there's some of that going on with dad saying this and then mom saying that. Like, whatever it is, I'm sick of it. Why does it have to be so damn complicated right when Notre Dame gets a good guy? Why?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the other thing, too, is everybody knows Notre Dame is not, we're saying pay for play, or at least guaranteeing money up front. So they already know if they're doing that they have it in. So if they're going to go after anybody, hey, they're not going after the schools that have, somebody locked in with a solid deal. Hey, let's go to Notre Dame because we know we can offer them money up front, which they're not doing.
What else?
And again, maybe
what else? Let me ask this. This is so simplistic. It came to me last night. This is so dumb that I want to ask it because it applies. By the way, everybody, Kent Jackson is here, the resident Ohio State Buckeye. He's in the chat. Kent, we were asking about you. We were worried about you. Good to have you here, and good luck in your ball game in a couple days. And so what I was going to say is, when you look at these guys that think they have pro futures, like a five-star gifted athlete, and you're considering Notre Dame, if you think you're gonna go pro, how much are you worried about school anyways? Because you're not planning on staying 4 years to graduate wherever you go, right?
If you're that good, that's the expectation, right? You got to be there 2 years minimum, and you could enter the draft as a junior.
I just don't think I don't know if those guys are like signing up to be on a hard academic track when in their mind they're probably thinking I'm 3 years and going to the draft anyways. I don't know if that plays into it, but it's just a thought.
100%. But here's the other thing too: is because of NIL, these kids are allowed to have agents now, from what I understand. And so if you think that these kids that are talking NIL before they even get into college and they're talking to agents, you think the agent is saying, hey man, go to Notre Dame and, like you said, have that tough educational schedule.
You know what I think?
I
think? I think half those agents are these guys' uncles trying to get them the most money that leaks down into their pocket. There's a lot of shady stuff going on in the weeds. I bet you half of those agents reaching out is some player's uncle, and they're trying to get the best package deal for the family or something. Like this is all just wild.
And taking a cut.
Yeah, exactly. And well, that's what happened with Dante. There was some of that with Dante going on. And I don't know, man. I don't like the feeling Notre Dame's going to get held hostage for their best players every cycle. I don't know if that's sustainable, and I got to find a way for us to soften that risk. That's what's been on my mind.
I think it'll be time and results. And if time goes by and our results are showing it, I think you're going to see the teams that don't play in NIL space and are changing their rosters over every year. I think long term you're going to see that win. But I also think you got another few years of the wild west, because apparently the new NCAA president is the governor of Connecticut or something like that. His first thing is going to be trying to tackle NIL and the transfer portal.
And I've had multiple people tell me in those higher academic circles, and that guy's legitimately going to try and do something. I've had multiple people tell me that guy really does want to try and clean up NIL. He's not just saying it. So I don't know why, but a lot of people are saying that guy is legitimate about trying to attack that. My problem with that is there's two groups of people I have no trust and respect for, and it's like a lot of it's government and then the NCAA. So I don't know. We're getting both married together here.
Yeah, it's the corrupt leading the corrupt. I think the most impressive thing with that guy, and again, it's just what I've heard, is that he's, I think, a Republican governor in Connecticut, which in itself is pretty surprising. So we'll see what happens when he gets here. But I think it gets cleaned up. I think if Notre Dame is winning, you'll see the change, because hey, listen, if you've been keeping up, if you've been reading, how many kids did you see transfer out of Georgia? How many kids do you see transfer into Georgia?
Yeah.
How many NIL tampering things do you see that just doesn't happen? They got a solid system, solid base. The kids understand coming there what's at stake, what happens if they leave. So hopefully we get into that trajectory. I was listening to I can't remember who it was, but one of the big time recruiting guys who's always on the road was talking. He was on a show the other day, and he was talking about the differences between and the comparisons made between Kelly and Freeman in terms of recruiting. And he said, Kelly just wanted to play golf. Man, he barely recruited, if any. He said Freeman's out there. He's a great recruiter. He likened him to Kirby Smart and to Nick Saban, and said it's just a few. He said just give it a few years,
but without the bag man behind him that they both have. So it's even more impressive, because both of those guys have very complex structures set up behind the scenes to make sure everybody gets what they need, and it hasn't even really been a secret for a long time. So I mean, that's the deal with that. That's the deal with that. But I'll talk. I'd love to talk about. I'd love to get your thoughts on Hartman, but I will ask this: are you snowed in right now? Because some of the stuff, I'm in Texas. It's like 60 today. No,
I think it's going to be almost 70 today.
Listen,
man, I'm seeing like Buffalo is like crazy.
We got that in the Chicago area. They were saying blizzard of the century before Christmas, and it was bitterly cold and extremely windy, like minus 30, 40 wind chills. But the snow never hit us the way it was supposed to. We only got a couple inches, and it's just been the cold and the wind. And then once that storm headed out to the northeast, then that snow started building up. We didn't get that much snow, just bitter cold and wind.
Yeah, I got family in New York. They said roughly the same thing. Barely any snow, really cold. But we were down to 11 degrees here. And
hey, Tom Lemming is Tom Lemming who you're talking about? People are asking in the chat. Was that who it was? Maybe. I
think that's who it was. He was on Irish Breakdown. I was kind of watching that. He had some very complimentary things to say about Marcus Freeman. He sounds like, you know, he's one of those road warrior recruiters kind of driving around giving all stuff. And
Kelly was a closer, man.
great
Kelly was a closer. Kelly wanted to play that role, let his guys do the dirty work, and then at the end kind of tie it up, wrap it in, be the closer. And that was just the way he did it. This is totally flipped. It's totally different. It's totally different. So I'm enjoying this. You're going to see the result. This effort's totally different. So you're going to see that pay off. It's frustrating now. I also think Freeman's smart enough. He'll adjust. He'll figure out a way to be able to assess risk, know when to cut bait if NIL's too much. Like, I just think there's a calibration there Marcus will figure out.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, in we'll say kind of transitioning over to Hartman, right? I think if Hartman goes there, let's be honest, right? There's no way Hartman's coming over thinking that he's competing with Buckner for the starting spot.
Yeah,
like,
that's the way I see it.
Hartman,
that's the way I see it too.
If we take him, he's day one starter, 100%. No reason for him to come there if he's not the starter. So what did we say from before? Hey man, we're not going to guarantee somebody. There's got to be a QB competition, all that stuff. So you could look at both sides of it. You know, he's definitely, if he comes there, he's got to be the starter. He's certainly expecting it to be. I think we would all say, like, obviously, yeah, looking at the body of work to,
right,
you know, who he'd be competing with, he would be the starter. But that's not what we've been saying this whole time. So, you know, I think it's a Cone plus, right? So it's another 1 year Band-Aid.
Yeah,
certainly better than Cone.
Yeah. Now I'm glad you went down that path, because that's something else I wanted to say about this. If you said to me, John, this is a Band-Aid, you know, I'm more comfortable with us home growing and developing a guy young and all that, I agree with you. I think that is a path towards more long-term stability and reliability and cohesion. But also, Notre Dame's not in the position to live that way right now. And I want to make sure I say that. I also agree. Long-term, I'd rather find a young guy and let him grow and develop and all that. And there's stability provided in that path. Notre Dame's not there right now. Notre Dame's entering next year as we sit, not knowing what they have at quarterback, just like they did this year. They don't want to be in that position again. So that's why they're going this route.
Yeah. No, I think if you're looking at it, we have to go that way. We have to have the 1 year. Like Hudson Card, I can't remember. He went over to Purdue or something like that. You know, he comes in. He's got 3 years of eligibility. That screws up Minchie. It screws up Carr. It makes everything look like we're not kind of getting that way. So hey, let's say we get Hartman. He comes in. He's year one starter. He's going to help, obviously, Buckner. He's going to help Minchie. He's gone in a year, and we continue to progress with our building our quarterback.
Yeah, then you're going to have year two.
Any other way?
You would be in year two of Minchie. He would add 1 year to sit and watch Hartman, a good guy to learn behind. And then also you have Carr coming in right after that, who's going to want to try and compete right away. That is a healthy quarterback dynamic I could certainly get behind. I love that. That is a good path moving forward, and I'm fine with it. I want to make sure this happens before I get ahead of myself. I'm not counting anything done here until it's done. I'm not.
I'll see. I feel better about this one than I do Cone, because Cone, you could see kind of where we're going.
Yeah.
Right now with Hartman, if he comes in, as opposed to Cone, it was still up in the air. Like Cone was truly a Band-Aid. I think I think Hartman is more of a bridge to kind of get us to our next stop. But everybody kind of talking about Buckner and saying, hey, what if Buckner leaves? Well, what if Buckner does leave? Where's he going to go?
Not my problem. Not my problem. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's like, well, what if Buckner leaves? Well, then that means the competition has sorted itself out, and I'm fine with it. That's what happens if Buckner leaves. Like, that's not something to complain about. It would be because other guys beat him out, which should be a good thing to us.
Well, does Buckner have an inflated sense of self? Because I can tell you, if I'm in Buckner's shoes, am I pissed right now that they're bringing somebody in? No. I mean, I haven't been healthy and played a full year ever.
He needs to understand that. Don't you think he's self-aware enough to understand that it's not his fault, but he can't be relied upon to stay healthy? He's got to be that self-aware, and it's nothing against him as a kid. It's just the way things happen.
He has no resume. He has no body of work to present.
Right.
That would constitute no competition.
And that's a lot of risk. And we just entered a year doing that. And it was a struggle all year because of it. And Notre Dame just wants to avoid being in that position moving forward. And I totally get it. The only path I was dead set against was getting a transfer quarterback that's so far down the list, then it really is like Drew Pine Part B. That is the one I was against. Feeling like you needed an extra guy that you're going to bump all the way down the list, and it's nothing that excites you. That's not what this is. So I'm fine with this. This builds us a nice ramp to them young guys.
Yeah, I think if Buckner goes, then let him go. Where would he go? He doesn't have anything to show. I mean, it's not like he's going to go anywhere and be guaranteed a starting spot because, again, he has no body work. But I think all of it played into Pine and Pine leaving. You know, I mean, a few weeks before USC, it was clear that Freeman was saying, "Hey, if Buckner's healthy, he's the guy." You know, typically you don't lose your spot to injury, right?
And then Pine knew what was coming behind him too. He knows the two young guys coming in too. I think Pine saw the writing on the wall. I know his camp didn't like the way he was covered in the media. All of that played into it. I just think these guys know the pecking order. They're not dumb. I think they all kind of have a feel of how things are going to go. That's what I think.
I think Pine. Yeah, and I think Pine just ultimately, again, serviceable. Won, 8 games, lost 2. The whole 9. He probably thought in his mind that he earned maybe a little bit more than he did, which wasn't the case. But I could see him if he's winning games. But then you're hearing that this guy is going to take the spot again once healthy. But again, he was the starter. You shouldn't lose your spot to injury. So I get it. I think that ultimately it's just kind of where we're going. In terms of Hartman, it's funny, man. I love, you've seen all these articles all of a sudden starting to come out about, there's a team out there that's breaking the rules and, all sorts of stuff and Notre Dame and tampering. And like, it's funny if Notre Dame is somewhat implicated in anything like that, it blows up. But, to say like, hey, all these people have been tampering and talking. Sam Hartman's been saying he's not coming back to Wake Forest for months. Literally midway through the season had a news conference where they were asking a post game about a 6th season. He was like, no, I'm not coming back to Wake Forest for a 6th season.
I'm not worried about it. It's just annoying. It's just annoying. And when Notre Dame's involved in anything, it's amplified. It's all kind of annoying. All this stuff's going on. Nobody likes it when it happens to them. Everybody loves it when it happens for them. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Anything else as we wrap up, my friend? I want to get a couple more folks in here.
Yeah, no, I'll say, man, I hope we get Hartman. I think it's a good spot. It does take away all excuses for Freeman and Reese, because if they get Hartman and they don't win next year, they're going to be on the shit train and it's not going to look good. Yep. They're going to get a ton of it. It's probably going to be Reese that gets more of it than Freeman, but ultimately all of them will get it. And as far as the game goes on Friday, obviously looking forward to it. Obviously I want to win. We'll see how that all goes. But honestly, Notre Dame has the advantage here. You got 8 to 9 or 11 total players out on South Carolina side. 8 to 9 of those players are impact players. The only place that South Carolina has the plus as opposed to R minus would be in the quarterback position, which at this point we're used to all year. So it's Rattler. So we'll see kind of how that goes. I think we got a good shot. We'll see kind of how we do, but we got to obviously stop Rattler, and Buckner has to have a good game, and we'll kind of see where that goes. But John, looking forward to obviously watching the game, listening to some pregame, postgame. You having a show Friday morning? I'm
still trying to figure it out. I got an appointment I have to go to now. I can't get out of, so I'm trying to figure out what I can do for Friday. So I'm trying to work on it, but I don't know if 9 to 11 is going to work. So I'll try and come up with something.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And in terms of everything else, John, always a pleasure. Hey, listen, I hope you had a great Christmas. Have a very, very happy new year. Looking forward to being a part of the Always Irish family. moving forward. So have a great day, sir, and we'll talk very soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Always a well thought out, well planned caller. Always has his information ready to go. It's lovely to see. Kent Jackson says, LOL, I've been meditating. Good morning, my Irish family. I can't think of anything more opposite of always Irish than meditating. So that's so funny to me, man, meditating. And then the next thing he does after trying to relax is tune into me getting all worked up. It doesn't sound so relaxing to me, Kent. I could just see Kent meditating. Do not lose to Georgia. Pass the ball. Like I could just see it. He's over there lighting candles and incense and stuff. And he's over there. CJ Stroud throw for 7 touchdowns against Georgia. I could see it now. Maybe I should teach meditation or something. What do you think? No, probably not. Imagine John teaching meditation. Everybody just relax. It's easy. Dr. John, and then Pat. That's what we're doing. What's going on, Dr. John?
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
You're fueling my angst about this quarterback situation. But
what part?
I share that with you, I got to take you to task about the trombone players.
I knew this was going to come back. All right, let me have it.
Well, here's the deal. One of my very good friends back in Minnesota was a trombone player in the marching band for Minnesota. And he's a terrific guy. And he had this little riddle or whatever, and I'll try it out on you. What do you call a woman on the arm of a trombone player?
I don't know. I'm afraid where this is going.
A tattoo.
That's funny.
Trombone players can't get those gals. So.
That's good. Yeah, I can see that. That's a good one, actually. I like that. Oh man, it's a unique. Listen, it's a unique culture. The band culture is unique, and I respect it.
Say again?
I said the band culture is a unique one, and I do respect it in its own way. But I don't want Notre Dame's NIL money going to the trombone guy. All right.
Okay. All right. Quarterback room.
Yep.
Already, I'm sitting here next fall, and I've got all this angst about. I suppose I'm tying into all these kids' feelings about, well, looking at Buckner. I mean, I agree. The only way Hartman's going to come is if he said you're going to be the starter.
Yeah.
And so now you got Buckner sitting there, you got Minchie sitting there. Not to even count Ron Paulus. I don't know. Maybe he's going to graduate.
Couldn't tell you.
God, I just feel, the Buckner. What do you do if you hear that Hartman is going to be the starter before the end of this portal period? I think we're halfway through it. You got Buckner going into the portal?
I don't know. I mean, but it's one of the first things I thought of when I was piecing all of this information together. It was one of the first things I thought of is, where does that place him? Because I don't think Hartman's coming if he's not going to be the starter. So then where does that put Buckner? Maybe he just loves Notre Dame and wants to be there and do all that. Fine. But if he said, I want to go play somewhere and it isn't going to happen here, whatever, that's life. I mean, what does it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like going from famine to feast, and both of those things have a problem.
But listen, it is so frustrating for everybody involved with Buckner. It is so frustrating. You want to pull for the guy. You want him to be the man. We've had his name in our head for years, and for one reason or another, it's never coming to fruition. And you just feel like, how many dynamics are there where it doesn't work out for him when it's the last one? It's just a frustration for everybody, and number one for him. I don't know what happens, man.
Well, like I said, he's had some real tough luck.
Yeah, very
here's
tough
another
luck.
question about Hartman.
Yeah.
Does Hartman even have to go to class if he comes to Notre Dame?
I believe he would be a grad transfer. So then do you just hang out for a year, or does that mean you have to actually take classes? Or if you're a grad guy with one extra year of eligibility, you just get to go and play football and hang out? That'd be awesome.
I don't know. Here's another thing that kind of got me. I looked at his profile. Nowhere on the profile does it say what his major is. So it's all about the football.
Yeah, well, there you go. Hey, it doesn't. Not so much of this doesn't feel like college football to me anymore. I just think we're just going to have to deal with it, because it's never going to go back to the way you were used to it, and even I was used to it. Right? We need to get modern, apparently.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You can't put the toothpaste back in that tube.
Nope, there's no way. And with NIL and the instant transfer, no sit out, like you can't undo all that and go back. So we need to figure out a way to navigate it that doesn't make me and you go nuts.
Okay, well, that's enough for my angst. Now the excitement. I'm really looking forward to this bowl game. I fly to Minnesota tomorrow, and as it turns out, all three of my daughters are going to be there and be able to watch the game with me. So I know sometime during the game I'm going to get that knot in my stomach, but I'm really looking forward to just enjoying this game and hoping they play all these young kids.
Do you think we're going to see that, though? Do you think, are we going to see that? I am actively going out of my way to look for that happening. And I don't know if we're going to see it or not, but I want to, especially some of them linebackers. I think there's ways to play these guys without risking the game. I want to see it.
Would there be anywhere online where we could check exactly what the roster is for that day? Because they don't bring everybody.
I think there's already a depth chart out. I think I saw it online yesterday. I think there's a depth chart. But even if even if you list the guy as a starter, it doesn't mean that he's going to play every snap. Like, I'm not married to guys that helped us lose 4 games. I don't know how else to say it. Give some other guys a couple series.
Yeah. Yeah, let some of these young guys go out there and prove themselves.
Can I ask you this? How much do you think they're going to want or require or ask Buckner to throw the ball in this game? He hasn't done it in a long time. It's not his number one natural strength, and his number one target is unavailable prepping for the draft. What do you expect to see there? Are they going to minimize that, or are they going to let him try and throw it around and open up things with a little bigger arm than the other guy?
Well, I think it's what they've seen in practice. You know, if he's been able to throw the ball fairly well in practice, you're probably going to see him throw it. Yeah. And I hope they'll let him. I mean, you got to figure out what this kid can do. I presume he's completely healthy. I think Notre Dame's pretty adamant about the medical side of things, so you got to believe he's fully recovered. Let him throw it 20 sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's an opportunity to do so. And especially if Notre Dame can run the ball decently early, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities to pass the ball. South Carolina was second to last in the SEC in run defense. And then you add Buckner's wrinkle with his legs and ability to run. If Notre Dame can run the ball efficiently early, that's going to open up opportunities for passing.
Yeah, I think it could be a pretty fun game in that respect. I hope the coaching staff is looking at this game as a learning experience and trying to have some fun down there. I mean, that should be the main goal. Let's have some fun. And I think if these kids are out there enjoying themselves, they probably will win the game.
Yeah, and you know what though?
I'm looking at 35-30.
Here's what I'm not up for, John. I am not up for The last time I saw this team play, they looked to me, they weren't ready to go emotionally or physically against their rival, and it went poorly. I am really not open to waiting a handful of weeks and seeing us come out sluggish again to start a game. It's really going to rub me the wrong way, and I very much hope it doesn't happen. I just need us to come out crisp and looking excited and ready to go win a big game.
Well, let's block that first punt.
Yeah, too bad our best punt blockers getting ready for the draft. Got to find another one. Okay. You got to find another one.
Yeah. Two things I got to ask you about. Any progress on the merchandise?
We're looking at the kind of the super chat and the store thing. I'm hoping beginning of the new year. So we're getting close on a couple of those items. May not be at the same time, but we're looking at kind of the first couple weeks of January for some of this stuff.
Okay. And then my second question was the super chat, because I still owe you money on the BC game.
I'm hopeful on that. I'll get some clarity soon. And trust me, every day it's top of mind. I'm trying to get everything lined up. So we'll be back up and running, hopefully on all this shortly into the new year and off to a clean, fresh start.
All right, Carter, you have a great New Year's. I'll tune in Friday just in case to see what's going on.
Yeah, I'll try and figure something out. Yeah, I'll try and do something.
Okay.
I don't know. I just have some things I need to work through. So I'll figure out what I can get done. And I can put it in the community tab, or I can write messages and stuff. I'll let you guys know.
Okay. Sounds good, sir. Great show. Thanks for so much fun in the last few months. So.
Oh, no problem.
Take care.
Hey,
Enjoy
thank you, man. Everybody loves it when you call. You're the all-star caller. I appreciate you very much. Have a good one.
All right, sir. You got a good group out there following you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, look at us calling each other a good group. I like it. 773, what are you mad at today?
You always.
Yeah, go pick a reason. Put your kids on. I want you to put your kids on. They'll talk about Notre Dame. No. Where do you want to start? Hartman, the bowl game?
Well,
what do you want?
We got the outfit. We got your ghost girl on number 8. We got
We
got the quarterback situation, the bowl game. Where do you want to start?
Pat, if you I don't want to get into this, but if you Google what that ghost girl looked like, it's all over Goop. People see that girl everywhere. That ghost represents something. The exact girl I saw is out there. And then, all right, but I don't want to get into that. Let's keep it football, but I can talk about the outfit all day, but let's do football. I wish Joey the Clown was alive. He could be my bodyguard. I'd have him, Joey the Clown Lombardo, following me around town. Nobody would mess with me. Collect all my juice. Okay. But let's keep it football. Where do you want to start? You have an opinion on Hartman and what they're doing here? What do you want them to do?
Yeah. So Hartman, like the whole tampering thing, let's start there. It's just asinine. The whole, this kid was looking to see where he can go. So it's just stupid. And shut up, Rudy. It's just like back at college. And then, so yeah, the tampering thing is stupid. The kid was the one out there looking. And then the Buckner side of it, if Buckner's going to transfer or not, if he doesn't beat this kid out, there's 2 points there. The first one is, what does it say about Buckner if he can't beat this kid out? That was your starting quarterback this season. He would have been your starting quarterback next season. That's 2 years where this kid was supposed to play, and he's not on the level you need. I would almost think it's better for Buckner to transfer, but I don't think he's going to transfer because, one, he's got a chip on his shoulder that he wants to prove he can beat this kid, and 2, he knew this kid was coming. The same reason Pine left, Buckner was told the same thing, and he said, "No, I'm staying, and I'm gonna try." So I don't find this situation as we're gonna lose we're going to lose Buckner because of this kid. We might lose him. We might lose him the year after if Mincy comes in and beats Buckner out. But
Right.
I don't think you lose him at all.
Yeah. And again, I feel it's always awkward because when you go down this path, sometimes it's hard not to sound like you're not just crapping on Buckner. And I'm not trying to do that, but it's just like the years go by and I still have no body of work and progression. For whatever reason, it doesn't change that that's still the practical fact. And it's very awkward because I don't want to crap on the kid and I just want to see him healthy and progress. And it just hasn't been able to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want the best. I want the best for all of them. I hate seeing kids transfer, regardless of the reason, because I think first and foremost, they went there to get a degree from Notre Dame.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I think that sentiment is heavier at Notre Dame because of that degree and the weight of that. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart that Pine left. It breaks my heart. Not because of how he played or how he didn't play, because he didn't get his degree at Notre Dame. And that meant a ton to him. So that just sucks. So, yeah. But anyways, and then I agree with your point on Tommy Rees, because I'm a defender of Tommy Rees. I think he gets a bad rap by many of the people in your audience. I think Tommy Rees calls a good game. I think Tommy Rees was saddled with a terrible head coach when he first came in, who gave no interest in actually doing the things that need to make you successful. And now he has a head coach that are doing the things that need to make him successful, that are actually putting pressure on Tommy to improve. And so Tommy, I think he has nowhere to go but up.
You know what? That's a really good point. Back up a second. That's a really good angle. And I don't think one I've heard yet about him being there, but him being there and having pressure or not within the framework of being there. And I like that kind of that heat. I like that.
Yeah. You have to earn it now. You can't just look at all the coaches that he had to get rid of. Del Alexander, Polian. I mean, the offensive line coach. Those guys, they were all there because Kelly didn't get rid of anybody. Look at the Van Gorder situation. That guy should have been fired after year one, and he kept him for another half a season. That Kelly he wouldn't fire coaches, and he would be forced to fire coaches. I don't think that's going to be the case with Freeman, and I think these guys should know that, and they're going to be they're going to have to show that.
All right,
they're doing
all right.
Well, they're going to be gone.
Now I'm glad. Now wait, I'm glad we're doing this. You're getting the people riled up. Okay, he calls a wretched game. He calls a wretched game, and his inability to develop a QB is his stigma. Somebody else says, did this caller see Marshall or Stanford? Tommy Rees sucks. He lost us both those games. So I like this, Pat, because we got people on both sides of the coin.
Hold on.
Answer those. Yeah. I'm going to let you have the floor. Answer those.
Game?
Answer those.
Did they watch the Clemson game? Go ahead. So, answer to those points?
Yeah, I'm just going to let you come back at them. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, no, I think, first of all, I actually, to be honest, I did not watch, at least live, the Marshall or the Stanford game. Marshall, was right a couple weeks, so what I have to miss. And Stanford, I was at a wedding. I did watch the fourth quarter of the Stanford game on my phone.
What a joy. What a joy. What a great evening. What a great evening.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful time. But I did go back and watch them, the recordings of them. And the team, not just the offenses, the team as a whole was flat. The team did not play well as a unit. Okay. The offense was bad. Buckner was bad. You can't blame Pine for that game, for the Marshall game. He was pulled in when it was way too late. The team as a whole was bad. And yes, Tommy Rees should be blamed for that. I absolutely agree. And then what happened? They went out and started winning again. They go to BYU, where they post an unbelievable offensive explosion against BYU, which was a ranked team. Okay. They were getting better. There were progressions in the offense. Nothing was perfect. The Ohio State game was a misnomer because Ohio State was too afraid to lose the game to Notre Dame than they were trying to whip Notre Dame's ass, which they probably should have done, considering the way that Notre Dame started out that season.
There we
So
go. The Clemson game. The Clemson
that-
game was special teams and defense with the decent run game. That's all it was. How much credit you going to give Tommy for that? I'm just telling you. I'm telling you what the people are saying.
Like people like everybody's like, oh well, this and that. So you give the guy all the blame when things go bad, but none of the credit when things go right.
Exactly. It's the American way. It's the American way.
He called a bad game in the Marshall game. Yes, the team did not perform well. But guess what? They came back. Okay, and they did perform well. They performed well against better opponents and played well. Okay? They were supposed to get blown out by Clemson, and they blew Clemson out.
This is somebody's asking if you're Tommy Rees calling in with a voice change box. I just didn't. The old head coach didn't give me any talent to work with, John. Like, yeah, it sounds about right.
That is right.
Hey, how much?
I talk about Kelly anymore. I'm so tired about freaking Kelly. It just like. I swear to God, John, I think everybody thinks back to like 2011 and 2013, and they're just so done with Tommy Rees because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that. And it is such an unfair reason to judge a guy.
You know why I'm done with him? I'm done with him because he couldn't run fast enough to get away from those cops. And I just can't handle that on my staff. Like, I just can't do it. I need the quarterback to at least be able to get away from the cops at a party.
So
Come on, Tommy.
I'll do this. I'll make a promise right here. If Tommy comes out and they get this Hartman kid and he is a stud, that he's a stud that he's supposed to be, and Notre Dame's offense explodes next year, and everyone's like, yeah, all right, this is great. This kid is awesome. Is it Tommy Rees? Does he get any credit in that? Are these people, all these people saying in here, this Manny clown who's saying that fired Tommy Rees now and all this stuff, do they need to? Are they going to come back in here and say, "Oh, we were so wrong about Tommy Rees"?
No, well, because but what
if
you
this offense sucks next year with this kid, I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, you know what, Tommy Rees is not getting better. This offense is not getting better. They need to make a change.
Yeah,
I will make that promise because unlike a lot of these people, I'm logical and reasonable.
On the those are not popular on the internet to begin with. But if you're going to go over there, if you're going to go look at it that way, you know what people are going to say. If you're already predisposed to be anti-Tommy, and then this guy has the body of work and then does it in Notre Dame, everybody's going to go, he already had the body of work. It's not Tommy. He was going to do that anywhere. And you know that.
And you remember me from 11 and 13. You remember me from the 4
I'm trying to forget.
You knew how much you remember how much I hated him as a player. I thought he was a terrible quarterback.
Well, he was a statue.
Read a defense.
Yeah.
But he couldn't throw the ball 30 yards down the field. And that stuff drove me crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So I was not a Tommy Rees fan as a player. I think I watch this guy's offenses. I go back and I see, nothing's perfect. Not everything is perfect. Somebody said something about, was it the Packers offensive coordinator? Do you think there's a reason that guy's still the Packers offensive coordinator? Because he is not the best coach. All right. There are reasons guys are staying in positions they're staying in because they don't excel in other areas. All right. Let Tommy excel as an offensive coordinator because that's what he's doing. I missed your show on Monday. Somebody said something about the David Cutcliffe idea. I think that should have happened. And I will say this: not Tommy wouldn't let him. That's a shame on Marcus Freeman. I don't care if you're trying to be. This is your team, not Tommy Rees's team. If you want to hire David Cutcliffe to come in and stand over Tommy's shoulder, you do that because this is your freaking team.
Yeah, right? I get that.
This isn't Tommy Rees's team.
Yep, I get that.
So that's a shame on Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, and that was the word that they did want Cutcliffe, and then Tommy didn't kind of think he needed it. Let me ask you this, Pat, too. Also, next year, you might have this new quarterback dynamic, but a lot of that skill talent's going to be vastly improved as well, and that should help the whole operation. You're going to have some wide receivers that can actually run and go get it, make plays, and jump around, and God forbid, get open. You know?
So much change in this season. There's so much progression shown by this football team throughout this season. The Stanford game, that was a letdown. I don't know. It was just they didn't show up. Okay, but in the USC game, USC I think is just a better team right now. as bad as it is, they're a better team right now. Better quarterback, definitely better quarterback play. I mean, Heisman Trophy quarterback play. But this team progressed in every game. They got better. That offense got better. That defense got better. That offensive, well, except the linebackers, that offensive line went from not being able to move anybody in the first 2 weeks of the season to literally the best left tackle in college football. Joe Alt is the best left tackle in college football. He is going to maul people in the NFL. He's going to be a top 5 pick when he goes out. The entire offensive line has nowhere to go but up. This is going to be probably the best offensive line Notre Dame has seen in years. And I'll own this one. I have never been a Harry Hiestand fan, believe it or not. That probably sounds like blasphemy to so many people because so many people like to blow the guy. But I have never been a Harry Hiestand fan. But John, do I do drugs? But I've never been a Harry Hiestand fan. And he proved me wrong this year. And now I can only go back and say the offensive lines of Brian Kelly era, where Harry Hiestand was the coach, was probably the play calling. Was the fact that they were what they were doing. It just didn't make sense, and he wasn't letting those big ogres he had up front. But I mean, think back to the Quentin Nelson and the McGlinchey offensive line. Okay, that team couldn't move the football against the top opponents. This team can, and next year they will, and they have a hard schedule next year, and they're going to get every opportunity to do it. And I think with this offensive line, I don't worry about the tight end room. I think that is stocked and loaded for years to come, and the wide receiver core coming up with, and I really like this wide receiver coach, this Chancey Stuckey. This offense has nowhere to go but forward, and if it doesn't, fire Tommy Rees. I'll be the first to say, but I'm giving this man a chance because he's earned it. He has done wonders with this team this year. The 8-4 is a marvel to me. 8-4 is a marvel. And I think in this bowl game, you never know what you're going to get with Buckner, but I think they have a chance to prove it. If they come out, like some of these score predictions, like 38, 35 points, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because Notre Dame is going to try to keep Rattler off the field, and they're just going to run the ball down their throat and just going to come after him and say, here we come, stop it, like they did all season long, because that is the model. Oh, and Buckner, he's had one injury. How all of a sudden is one injury prone?
Well, he's had 3 injuries. He had an ACL in high school that put him back a year. He fell down the stairs for the blue and gold game, and then now this is number 3.
Okay. He's had one injury at Notre Dame, and he broke his collarbone on a running play. And by the way, people have said Tommy's running him too much. He's a running quarterback. He's a running quarterback.
Yeah.
He drops back. It's an RPO offense with this guy. He drops back in the pocket. He doesn't see his first receiver. He runs.
Hey, let me ask you this: how much do you think they're gonna let him keep the ball and run in this bowl game? Are they gonna use that as a legitimate wrinkle and go down that well, or are they gonna try and protect him and not have him do that? Because it's a big wrinkle they could use their advantage.
If this kid is healthy, yes. If you're playing this kid, he should be healthy. If you're putting this kid out there and you're worried about his shoulder, that's a poor decision by Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
And that's all I would say. So it absolutely needs to be a wrinkle. I would do it the first play, John, because he needs to get hit to know that he's going to be okay before you really try to take him down.
He hasn't been, even though he's practicing, he has not been taking hits. You are right. He's going to have to get back into the feel of what that's like. That's for sure. Take a hit. That's right. For sure.
When you get an injury, especially an injury specifically caused by a hit, you're going to have to take a hit to make sure you're okay. And good luck, Chuck is absolutely right, I think.
Yeah,
good luck, Chuck is absolutely right.
That's why I put that up there. That was a really good way to kind of say what you were saying, and I think that's what I'm most glad about. I think you're going to have some conclusions one way or the other, and you're either going to be really happy about what the future looks like, or we all know we need to start over, and then I can live with that too. So I think either way, we're going to get answers. Right. Jay Campetti Investments, he is not trolling you. Jay Clampett Investments, he's not trolling you. I know this person personally. This is not a troll call. It isn't.
John and I have known each other for 20 years.
Yeah, it really isn't. It really isn't. I'm telling you.
John stood up in my wedding. We'll just put it at that. Okay, we are not Marshall. A run play is a run pass option. If you listen to me, It's either you're going to run the ball or you're going to pass the ball. But even when he decides not to run the ball and he goes back into the pass, if Tyler Buchner doesn't see his first option to throw the ball, he runs with it. He doesn't look down the field. If you listen to what I said, you would understand what I was saying, but you clearly don't listen. So yeah, I know what an RPO is. I know how these things work.
Pat, I love it, man. Getting your blood pressure worked up here. This is hilarious. You are, every time you've called, you have divided the chat in half. Half the people are fine with what you're saying, and some people don't like it. That's the mark of a good caller, though. You're stirring up controversy, Pat. You're stirring up controversy. You're people thought you were Bill Reese. Not even you're his dad calling in. No, Tommy knows what he's doing. So anything else, Pat? Anything else you want to get people mad about? Or is that enough for today?
This whole Hartman thing, and I just think that it's good for Notre Dame. They're getting a guy who should be in his sophomore year in the league.
Yeah, they really are.
You know,
they're
getting. Yeah, he's going to be a 24-year-old senior. If this kid and with the way he throws the ball, if he is really and he's 6'1", so he's already got 3 inches on Pine. Okay, I think Pine's biggest problem was he couldn't see over his offensive lineman, and so you had to get him out of the pocket. But if you throw everything out of the pocket, it's not going to work. So I just think this whole situation it's good for Notre Dame. And then also, John, I thought I read although he did officially enter the transfer portal, I thought he can't officially transfer till January 4th.
I don't know that. That could be it.
Yeah, I think nothing could be official until January 4th. I don't think that there's anything stopping him from saying that's the case.
Right.
I don't see why he can't come out and say I'm going to go to Notre Dame when I can, but I don't think he can officially transfer. While they can enter the portal, the movement is closed until January 4th.
Gotcha.
So. Yeah, that's what I think the situation is. Oh, I did have one last thing because they're talking about NLI money. That one came up again, and Peyton Bowen and all this stuff. Pay attention to what's happening in Washington, D.C. Okay? Because right now there is a bill working through Congress because states individually, like California is one of the first states to do it, are passing laws requiring payment to players, payment to student athletes. Okay? And now I think there's up to 40 states that have some version of these laws, and it's making things more complicated. And so there are complaints from NCAA, from the conferences, from colleges and individually going back to Congress, going back to their senators and their representatives saying, we need a change. And so there's a bill bouncing around Congress right now. You can look it up. It's called the Student Athlete Pay Act. I think that's what the name is. And it is going to set a benchmark, if passed, if it goes through, it's going to set a benchmark that whatever the best student, whatever student A, so let's say you're Peyton Bowen, or you're the kid that went to Texas, the Manning kid that went to Texas, and let's say, okay, you're getting paid X amount of money through Texas, even if it's coming from a donor. Every student, male, female, in every sport, has to be paid equal amount of money. What is that going to do?
Well, is that even practically feasible that you're going to give everybody on those teams and no revenue sports the same amount of money as your star quarterback? Like, is that what they're doing?
It's a fair pay amendment for student athletes. It's government, John. What do they care? But what's that going to do? It's going to prevent Texas from paying that kid $5 million.
Yeah, at least up front. So I mean, they can always do it old school. They could always do it old school. I mean, a McDonald's bag ends up on the porch, you know.
Yes, and they're going to do it old school. It's going to be it's exactly what it's going to be. But like I dug into Oklahoma because the Peyton Bowen situation. This is what it was. That kid's mom wanted him to go to Notre Dame because of the education Notre Dame was going to give him. That kid's dad wanted him to go to Oregon because he saw $5 million. Oklahoma was a compromise because the kid would be close to home. The kid was going to be close to home, and mom wanted that, and Oklahoma matched the money that he was paying him.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oklahoma ended up being
That would make
Oklahoma
sense.
ended up being a compromise. So the kid was close to home. That made the mom happy, and the dad got the money that he was looking for. Okay, that's what happened in that situation. Now, the next thing is I went into Oklahoma. I dug into Oklahoma's compliance documents, and I looked to see how this actually works, how they pay these kids. Oklahoma has a base salary for all their students. It's something like $10,000 a year. Okay, but a sponsor, an advertiser, can come through they contact the Oklahoma compliance office, and they say, we want to sponsor a student. And that's what they're doing. They're sponsoring Peyton Bowen as a commit, and that's how this kid is getting his money. They have a bunch of people coming in. So Oklahoma goes out and says, if we get Peyton Bowen, will you give us $1 million or give us $200,000? And so what Oklahoma's actually getting is something like $6.5 million for this kid. They're getting $1.5 million to allow their trademark, their logo to be used in the advertising with Peyton Bowen, and Peyton Bowen gets $5 million. So the university is getting paid off as well. Now, here's my thing on that. When I called in last week, I went down a road of how I don't want to be paying kids, X millions of dollars because just because Oklahoma does it or Oregon does it. I don't want Notre Dame to be into that. But I am okay with this scenario. If this is how Oklahoma is doing, this is how other schools are doing. I wasn't aware of this scenario where the university is getting a piece and the kid is getting a piece. I'm okay with that, because now it's just you're just giving this kid a bag full of cash and walking away. But there's actually a tracking of it. There's a compliance on it, and that's being reported back. And then Oklahoma set up a program for this kid that he has to go through financial courses. He has to go through a whole bunch of stuff. So he doesn't just turn this $5 million into a bunch of Ferraris and then he's left with nothing.
That's interesting.
And I don't care if Bowen used Notre Dame as leverage. That doesn't bother me at all. That I don't care about that. Good for him. He's 18. I know, John, I listened to your show on Monday. You the disrespect thing. I get it. I don't, that's fine if that's how you felt about it. I don't care. He's an 18-year-old kid. He's got $5 million on him. He's got parents who clearly disagree in the situation, so he's not getting good guidance. He's going to make bad decisions. That's what 18-year-old kids do. Just like when Tommy Reese kicked that cop in the nuts and ran away from him. It's 18-year-old kids, 22-year-old kids. They make poor decisions. And so I'm never going to judge a kid for that. If that kid turned around the next day and said, I wanted to come to Notre Dame, if Marcus Freeman would have been okay with it, I would have been okay with it. I'm not going to judge an 18-year-old kid. I remember what I was like as an 18-year-old kid. Do you remember what I was like as an 18-year-old kid?
I'm trying to forget it.
I was an F up of epic proportions. Okay. So I'm not going to judge a kid on what he did. Like, I don't like the hat thing, but whatever. He's 18. I'm just not going to judge him. But I think there's this law that's going to go through Congress is going to clamp some stuff down. And then there's an avenue to adjust that would put regulation in this. And I still think it ends with the class of the NCAA.
Interesting. Wow, man, you covered a lot of ground in 25 and a half minutes, my friend. A lot of ground. And you mix it up. Go figure, Pat. All of these people call from all over the country and the world, but most of them I've never met. And then the one guy that pisses people off the most is the one I've known in real life 25 years. Like, what are the odds? Go figure. The one guy that I've actually known in real life that calls and you're pissing everybody off. That's a good caller, Pat. That's a good caller.
Rudy, you missed me in college, Rudy.
She does not.
You missed me in college. We had a good time. And no, I don't agree we need to stop treating 18-year-olds as kids, because 18-year-olds are kids, and maybe we can get some sort of normalcy back in our lives if we stop treating them like they know what's happening in the world and start treating them like they don't. Start treating 18-year-olds like they're freaking morons, because they're freaking morons.
Jeez. All right, Pat, I'm done for the day. We're done. I'm shutting it down.
Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for calling. Every time you want to get something off your chest, 312-900-8815. Let it rip.
Later, John.
See ya. Oh, man. Man, we got some people with some thoughts. Hey, listen. A good caller is one who people don't agree with. I actually like that. I like it when people mix it up. I do not like some of the people in these chats. Some of you are just trolling to troll to be trolly. I mean, man, it's rough. But you guys do what you need to do if you need to troll. That's going to be it for the day, folks. Call in, show complete. I got some things I need to take care of, write another US Today article, Irish Wire article. And then I have something planned for tomorrow. And then I'm going to figure out if I could put anything out Friday. I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not. So we might just have to watch the game and then I do something after it. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. But thanks everybody for being here and have a good day. Take care.